صباح الحب يا لغتي، صباح النور ملهمتي، صباح حروفك الجذلاء راقصها على شفتي. صباح الحب يا لغتي، صباح النور ملهمتي.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Dear students, this is Irshad, and today we are going to start the third unit of second semester University of Kashmir. And in the third unit, the topics that which we are going to study, read, learn are: number one, الفعل واقسامه, verb and its kinds; الفعل الثلاثي المجرد, primitive trilateral verb. Then we have الفعل الماضي وتصريفه, perfect verb, or you can say past verb or past tense with conjugation. Then we have الفعل المضارع وتصريفه, imperfect tense, imperfect verb along with its conjugation. Then we have فعل الأمر وتصريفه, imperative verb and its conjugation. Then we have فعل النهي وتصريفه, prohibitive verb and its conjugation. And at the last we have to learn al-fa'il wal-maf'ul bihi, doer and the object. So the first 6 topics of this in this unit are related to Arabic morphology, and the last topic, al-fa'il wal-maf'ul bihi, is related to Arabic syntax. So we shall all read these topics one by one. So first we shall start with verb. What actually a verb is? An Arabic, the word for verb is al-fi'lu. So verb, actually it's a word that describe, that indicate, that represent an action, or it's a representation of an action either in the past or in the present or in the future. So to sum up, we can say that verb is simply a word which denotes some action in a particular period of time. Here are 2 examples. For example, he drove to the mountains. I used the verb drove, which is the second form of drive. So when I use the second form drove, it gave the meaning of past. But I can convert the sentence into present or future. For example, I say he is driving to the mountains. Now it became present. He will drive to the mountains. Now it became future. Now next example, he accepted the job offer. He accepted. The meaning is in past. The action of accepting is in past. But we can convert this sentence into future and present as well. He is accepting the job offer is present form, and he will accept the job offer is its future. So this was an example in English. Same is the case in Arabic. In Arabic, as I told you, for verb we call al-fi'lu. So the definition for fi'l is هو كلمة تدل على حدوث أعمال في زمن معين. مثلا كتب، نام، سمع. الفعل, the verb, هو كلمة تدل على حدوث عمل معين, which represents some specific action, that denotes some specific action, that denotes the occurrence of a specific action في زمن معين, in a specific period of time. So suppose كتب, he wrote. It's a verb of past. It's a perfect verb. كتب, he wrote. I can convert it into present. يكتب. I can convert it into future as well. سيكتب. نام, he slept. So نام is ماضي. Its مضارع is ينام. Similarly, سمع, he listened. يسمع, he is listening or he will listen. So all these 3 letters, all these 3 words, they represent some action in a particular period of time. In the first kataba, he wrote, the action of writing is done in the past. Nama, the action of sleeping is done in the past. Similarly, samia, the action of listening happens in the past. So all the 3 examples represent past, but we can convert them into future as well. Suppose yaktubu, yanamu, yasma'u. So all such verbs, whether they represent past, all such words, whether they represent past, present, or future, they are af'al, verbs. So in Arabic, almost the definition is same as of in English. That fail represents some action in a particular period of time. Now we have to learn the types or the classification of verb in Arabic. In Arabic, there are 3 types of verbs based on the relation of time, and they are: the first is al-fi'lul madi, past tense, past verb, or you can say perfect verb. The second is present verb, you can say imperfect verb as well, or past tense, present tense as well. And in Arabic we call it fi'l mudari. Then we have fi'lul amr, imperative verb, and in English, in Arabic we call it fi'lul amr. So these are the 3 types of verbs in Arabic. Now we will come to first al-fi'lul madi. We shall present you the definition of madi. Past verb al-fi'lul madi denotes that the action has been completed before you talk. So suppose here is an example: fataha means he opened. Fataha is a fi'l, and in it there is a zamir pronoun hidden, and that's huwa. Fataha means huwa fataha, he opened. So the meaning of opening is in past. So this word fataha, it denotes the action has been complete. Fataha, he opened, means he opened in the past. So this is the first kind. Second kind of fi'l in Arabic is fi'lul mudari, present, or you can say imperfect verb, or you can say present plus future verb, because fi'lul mudari in Arabic we use for both present and future. So present verb, imperfect verb, denotes that the action has not been completed, or it is still incomplete, and it means that the action is being done either in the present or will be done in the future. So this imperfect verb fi'lul mudari we use for both present as well as for future. But some students they may have some confusion that how we can use the same verb for both present and future. How we can understand in the text? The answer is that while going through the text, the context makes you to understand whether the verb is used for present or for future. But still, to just get rid of this confusion and ambiguity in this fi'l mudari, you can do one thing: that if you want to use fi'l mudari for current, means for present, then you need not to put seen or sofa before it. So if you will use simply a fi'l mudari without suffixing or prefixing anything on it, then it may most often it make you the meaning of present only. But to make it specific for future, to make this fi'l mudari specific for future, we can prefix either seen or sofa. So if I say sayaftah, he will open, then there is no possibility that you will translate it into, or you can use it for present. It becomes specific for future. You cannot use it for present then. When you add seen before it, when you prefix seen before it, and it becomes sayaft. You can also suffix sawfa as well. Sawfa yaft, he will open. But in both the cases, this verb becomes specific for future. So to sum up, we can say that fi'l mudari is a verb that denotes either the present or the future. To make it specific for the future, we can add seen or sawfa before it. Now the third type of fi'l in Arabic is imperative verb, fi'lul amr. Imperative verb is a command form of a verb, both direct command and indirect command. So fi'l amr, there is order, there is command, there is demand, because you demand something from the second person. Suppose if I ask you, open the door. So I demand from you the action of opening the door. So this is fi'l amr, where in a verb in which you will find command, demand, and order. This is imperative verb, fi'l amr. And this is the third type of verb in Arabic. But fi'l amr is always used for future, because whatever you order, whatever you demand, whatever you command, in all the cases, the action is done in the future. Suppose if I say, here is an example, ishrab, drink. Now the process or the action of drinking will be done in the future. Qul, say. See, this is the fi'l amr, command form of a verb. If I say kul huwa Allah, say, he is the one and only. So kul is a fi'l amr. This is the command form of a verb. There is demand, there is order, there is command as well. So these are the three types of verbs in Arabic. Now here is a table. You can understand how we have changed a verb in all the three forms. First is mazi, then we will convert the same verb into muzari, then amr. Here is kataba. Kataba means he wrote. Yaktubu, he writes, or he will write, because in muzari you have both present and future meaning. And you can also say taktubu means she writes, she is writing, or she will write. Then we have uktub, write. It's a fi'l amr, command. Another verb, darasa, he studied. Yadrusu, he is studying, or he will study, or he studies. Udrus, study. It's a command form, fi'l amr. So the same verb we change it into muzari and then into amr. Here also kataba mazi, yaktubu or taktubu muzari, uktub is fi'l amr. The verb, now how we can identify a verb from a noun? How we can identify a verb in among the words, different words? The verb has some signs, alamat, through which we can identify and distinguish it from the noun. To illustrate, verbs do not have, number one, tanween. You will never ever find tanween on a verb. So this is the first sign that the word is verb. What? That you will not find a tanween on a verb. So whenever you find tanween on any kalima, on any word, you have to understand this can never be a verb. Second, the prefix of alif lam. Alif lam also will never be prefixed before a verb. So when you find any kalima with alif and lam in the beginning, or annexed or prefixed with alif lam, any word, any kalima, you have to understand that this kalima will never be a verb, because verb do not have alif lam before it. Then the third sign is that the genitive case being preceded by a preposition. We use genitive prepositions which we call huruful jar before the nouns, and these huruful jar, they act on those nouns at the end. They change their last. They inflict on those nouns. But you will never find these huruful jar before a verb. You will never find a verb in genitive case. It will never be preceded by a preposition. The fourth sign of a kalima, word being a verb, is that find this circular ta at the end of any verb. So when you find this circular ta at the end of any kalima, you have to understand that this kalima will never be a verb. So in this way, these were some of the alamat. Basically, these alamat are specific with nouns. And when you find these alamat with anywhere in the language, anywhere among the words, you have to understand, you have to note that you have to memorize that these alamat are never ever found on verbs. Now see here, al-mazi, al-muzari, al-amr. كتب يكتب اكتب. كتب he wrote. يكتب he is writing, he will write or he writes. اكتب you write. فعل أمر. بعث he sends, he sent past. يبعث مضارع he sends. ابعث you send. It is أمر فعل أمر. Now you have to learn what are الفعل الثلاثي المجرد, what is الفعل الثلاثي المجرد and what is الفعل الثلاثي المزيد. And in English we call them trilateral unaugmented, or you can say primitive and augmented derived verbs. Augmented and unaugmented verbs, but they are all trilateral. And in Arabic we call them الفعل الثلاثي المجرد والمزيد فيه. No, what is basically this الفعل الثلاثي المجرد والفعل الثلاثي المزيد فيه? The trilateral verbs are of two kinds. You have to note, you have to memorize that verbs, trilateral verbs are of two kinds. The first is those which contain merely three radical letters, three basic letters, which are known as الثلاثي المجرد. For example, خرج, to go out. خرج, here you see, خرج is a verb, and we find three letters there, kha, ra, and jim. All the three letters are radical letters, they are basic letters, they are root letters. So this verb is called sulasi mujarrad. Why? Number one, that we find three letters on it. Kharaja, sulasi means trilateral. Al-mujarrad means free from the additional letters, because sometimes we add some additional letters on the verbs and their meaning changes, then they will not be called mujarrad. As far as mujarrad, as far as mazid fi are concerned, thulasi al-mazid fi. Thulasi al-mazid fi are those verbs where the basic letters are only three, but al-mazid fi, there are some of the additional letters are added to this thulasi mujarrad and it becomes mazid fi. So thulasi mazid fi, augmented verb, you can also say, are those which contain one or two additional letters besides the three radical letters. They are known as thulasi mazid fi. For example, here is an example, akhraja. Kharaja means to go out. He went out. Kharaja. Akhraja, he put out, he sent out. So there's a difference in meaning. And here we have kharaja, here it is akhraja. Here we added additional letter hamza in the beginning. It became kharaja, became akhraja. So akhraja is also a verb, a past verb, but akhraja is mazid fi. Why? Because we have added an additional alif before this verb, an extra letter we have added to this verb, so it became mazid fi. These in fact are the derived forms of trilateral verbs. So these are basically derived. They differ from the original in meaning in some extent. In the Arabic dictionary, the trilateral verb is listed first, and the meaning of the derived forms follow one after another. So what does this mean? It means that in English, if you want to find any word in a dictionary, you just go, suppose book, you will go in the book, in the B section, then in a sequential order, you'll find O, then again O, then K. It becomes book. So you easily go to B and find the meaning of book. Similarly, for pen, you will go in P. But in Arabic, it's very difficult to use a dictionary without knowing the grammar, because almost all classical and authentic dictionaries of Arabic language and literature, you will never find a word in those dictionaries without knowing the root letters of that word. Suppose kharaja is the root word of akhraja. So akhraja you can't find in the Arabic dictionary in alif column. When you go to alif, you will not find there akhraj, but you have to go to kha. In the kha section, you will find akhraj. Suppose similarly makhraj, its root word is kharaja. The root letters are kharaja. So the meaning of makhraj you will not find in kha, you will not find in mim, but in kha, makhraj. Similarly maktab, you will not find the meaning of maktab in meme section of the dictionary, because maktab, its root word is kataba. So you will find maktab in kataba. So using a dictionary in Arabic is also requires some grammatical knowledge, elementary grammatical knowledge. So to sum up here, we have to understand the difference between sulasi mujarrad and sulasi mazid. Sulasi mujarrad is a verb where we don't find any additional letter on it, and sulasi mazid is that which contain additional letters. That's mazid. And by using additional or extra letters on a sulasi mujarrad, it gives the benefit of different meanings that we shall discuss in future, inshallah. So now we have to read and understand the 6 forms of trilateral unaugmented verbs. الأفعال الثلاثية المجردة. So these are the verbs, trilateral, mujarrada, unaugmented. Mujarrada. We don't find any extra or additional letters on them. So these ثلاثي الأفعال الثلاثي المجردة, they have 6 forms. The first is ضرب يضرب. We call them bab, balance. In ضرب is madi and يضرب is muzari. See, ضرب, in Arabic we use fa'ala as a balance to measure all the verbs. Now see, ضرب, fa'ala, za is in place of fa, ra is in place of ain, and ba is in place of lam. So when I say zaraba, it is equivalent to fa'ala. When I say da is fa kalima. Da is fa kalima. It means it is in place of fa. In fa'ala, the position of fa is occupied by da. That's why we say da is fa kalima. Ra is in place of ain. So we say ra is ain kalima. Ba is in place of lam. So we say this is ba kalima. So za is fa kalima, ra is ain kalima, and ba is lam kalima. So fa'ala. Yazribu. See, yaf'ilu. Ala wazni yaf'ilu. This ra is now ain kalima. Ba is lam kalima. So this you have to remember, that how we measure and compare the verbs with fa'ala. So fa'ala has been made a balance to measure all the verbs. So if I say ra is which kalima, you have to say ain kalima. Why? Because in fa'ala, the ra occupies the ain position, ain place. So that's why it's called a ain kalima. Daraba yazribu. Mazi maftuhul ain. You see, mazi, zaraba is mazi, past, and maftuhul ain means its ain kalima is maftuh. See, ra is maftuh. We find fatha on this ra, it's maftuh. So this is the first form of al-fi'l thulathi al-mujarrad, and the first form, or you can say first balance, first bab is zaraba yazribu. And in zaraba yazribu we have mazi maftuhul ain. The mazi is maftuhul ain, the ain kalima is maftuh, and in muzari maksur al-ain. And in muzari this ain kalima is maksur. You see, ra is here maftuh in mazi, past, and here it is maksur in muzari, present, isn't it? So this is the first balance, first bab. The second bab is nasara yansur. The second balance is nasara yansur. Mazi maftuhul ain wa muzari mazmul ain. Mazi here is maftuhul ain, because sa is in place of ain, so we say ain kalima is here sad, and the sad is maftuh. Similar as here in the first balance, ra was maftuh. So we say mazi is maftuhul ain, that we find fatha on ain kalima. Yansuru. is muzari and it is mazmum al-ain. This ain kalima is mazmum, isn't it? And in the above first bab, in muzari, the ain kalima was maksur, and here it is mazmum. So here it is a different. Here this is the difference. That in the first first bab we saw muzari maksur al-ain, and in the second bab we see muzari mazmum al-ain. Now the third bab is sami'a yasma'u. In sami'a yasma'u, mazi is maksur al-ain. You see here, fa'ila. Mim is in place of ain and it is maksur. Sami'a. Sami'a. Mim, sami'a is mazi and it's maksur ain. And in the above two babs, above two balances, we saw that ain kalima in mazi is maftu. Here ra, here sa. So in both the babs, both the balance, we saw ain kalima maftu. But in the third bab, sami'a, we see mazi, its ain kalima is maksur. We see kasra on mim. So it's mim kalima is maksur. Yasma'u is its muzari. And ain kalima in muzari is maftu. And in the above two balances, in the first we saw ain kalima maksur, then mazmun, and here we see it maftu. So this is the third balance of sulasi mujarrad, trilateral, primitive trilateral verb, and that's sami'a yasma'u. The fourth balance, fourth bab is fataha yaftahu, mazi wa muzari maftuh al-ain. Here we find ain kalima is what? Ta, fataha, fa'ala. Ta is ain kalima. Both in mazi as well as in muzari, yaftahu, the ain kalima ta is maftu. Here maftu, here as well maftu. So in the fourth bab, fourth balance, we can say that both mazi and muzari are maftuhul ain, means their ain kalima is maftu. The fifth bab is qawma yaqrumu, mazi wa muzari mazmum al-ain. In both mazi as well as in muzari, ain kalima is mazmum. Qaruma, fa'ula, ra. This ra is ain kalima and it is mazmum. Yaqrumu, here ra, ain kalima is mazmum. So in both mazi, past as well as in present, future, muzari, the ain kalima is mazmum. Now the last and final balance or bab of this sulasi mujarrad is hasiba yahsibu. Hasiba, sami'a. So this scene is in place of mim. This scene is in place of ain. Hasiba fa'ila. Scene is in place of ain. So we can say the ain kalima scene is maksur in mazi, yahsibu, and in muzari this scene ain kalima is also maksur. So both mazi, muzari, maksur ain. Both in mazi as well as in muzari, we find that this balance, the sixth balance, hasiba yahsibu, is maksurul ain. So these were the six balances, six abwab of sulasi mujarrad, primitive unaugmented trilateral verb. Now we have to study or learn the conjugation of past tense, or you can say imperfect tense, tasrif al-fi'l al-mazi, which is in our syllabus. The past, or you can say perfect verb, it indicates that the action has been complete. We have already given you the definition and the example of this verb, past verb, or you can say perfect verb. It indicates action in past. It indicates the meaning of the action in past. Daraba, he beaten. Samiya, he listened. Kharaja, he went out. So the meaning in all the three verbs is past. Now see the conjugation. So as I told you, there are 14 forms of this fi'l mazi conjugation, tasrif al-fi'l mazi. There are 14 forms. The first is fa'ala. It's used for al-mufrad, al-mudhakkar, al-ga'ib. Al-mufrad means singular, al-muzakkar means masculine, al-ga'ib means third person. So fa'ala, he did. The examples are nasara, sami'a, qaruma. The second form is fa'ala. Fa'ala, we added alif at the end and it became fa'ala. Now it's not singular, it's now dual, masculine, third person. Fa'ala means they two did. And the example is nasara, sami'a, qaruma. The third is fa'alu. We see waw and alif added to fa'ala, it became fa'alu. Now it is al-jama, al-muzakkar, al-ga'ib. Al-jama means plural, al-muzakkar means masculine, ga'ib means third person. So fa'alu means they all did. So suppose if a person is in the room and he went, if he's a male and he went out, I say kharaja, kharaja. And if the two men, they went out from this room, I will say kharaja, because for two there is a separate form, kharaja. And if more than two boys or men went out from this room, and I will say kharaju. So kharaja for one, kharaja for two, kharaju for more than two men. So all the three are third person. All the three are masculine. But first is singular, the second is dual, and third is plural. Now the fourth form is fa'alat. We added ta, sakin at the end. It became fa'alat. Fa'alat, the example is nasarat, sami'at, qarumat. Fa'alat means she did. So it is used for third person, feminine, singular. Fa'alata. Now we will add fa'ala ta. Ta we shall add at the end of fa'ala. It became fa'alata. Fa'alata means they both did. So we added ta to fi'l mazi. It became fa'alata. And the examples are nasarata, sami'ata, qarumata. So fa'alata means they two or they both did. So it represents musanna. Musanna means dual. Al-mu'annas means feminine. Al-ghaib means third person. Fa'alna. Fa'alna. Fa'alna is used for jamma al-mu'annas al-ghaib. They all did. The examples are nasarna, sami'na, qarumna. So these three forms, fa'alat, fa'alata, fa'alna, all the three are used for feminine. All the three are used for third person. But the first one is used for singular feminine, second for dual feminine, and third one for plural feminine. Now we have to turn towards the second person. Fa'alta. Fa'alta. You did. We added ta to fa'ala, it became fa'alta. The examples are nasarta, sami'ata, qarumta. So fa'alta is al-mufrad, al-muzakkar, al-mukhatab. Al-mufrad means singular, al-muzakkar means masculine, al-mukhatab means second person. Fa'altuma, fa'altuma, we added tuma. We added tuma to fa'ala. It became fa'altuma. So you both did. Its meaning will be you two did. And examples are nasartuma, sami'tuma, qaramtuma. Then we have fa'altum. Fa'altum. We added tum to fa'ala. It became fa'altum. Fa'altum means you all did. Examples are nasartum, sami'tum, qaramtum. So fa'altum we use for al-jama', al-mudhakkar, al-mukhatab. Plural, masculine, second person. Now we have second person feminine, mukhatab. Fa'alti. We added ti at the last of fa'ala. It became fa'alti, means you did. Examples are nasarti, sami'ati, qarumti. So fa'alti is al-mufrad, al-mu'annas, al-mukhatab. Al-mufrad means singular, al-mu'annas means feminine, al-mukhatab means second person. Fa'altuma, you two did, you both did. So we added tuma at the end of fa'ala, it became fa'altuma. And the examples are nasartuma, sami'tuma, qaramtuma. So fa'altuma is used for dual, feminine, second person. Al-musanna, al-mu'annas, al-mukhatab. Fa'altunna, it's used for al-jama, al-mu'annas, al-mukhatab. Plural, feminine, second person. So fa'altunna means you all did. We added tunna at the end of the fa'ala, it became fa'altunna. And the examples are nasartunna, sami'atunna, qarumtunna. So fa'altunna is, all the three are used for feminine but second person. And first one is used for singulars, fa'altuma for dual, and fa'altunna for more than two. Now the example, suppose, as I told you, if suppose I am talking to one female student and she wrote, I will say to her, katabti. Katabti means you wrote. If two female students before me, they wrote something, I will tell them katabtuma. If more than two students, female students, they wrote something before me, I will tell them katabtunna. You all wrote. Now we shall turn towards the mutakallim, first person, whether it's masculine or feminine, muzakkar or muannas. Fa'altu, I added this tu at the end of the fa'al, it became fa'altu. Fa'altu means I did. Examples are nasartu, sami'atu, karamtu. So this fa'altu, I use it for first person, singular, whether it's male or female. Fa'altu, I did, whether male or female. Fa'alna is used for, I added na at the end of fa'al, it became fa'alna, means we did. Example are nasarna, sami'na, qarabna. So fa'alna is al-jama al-mutakallim. Al-jama al-mutakallim. Al-jama means plural, al-mutakallim means first person. Similarly, fa'altu is al-mufrad al-mutakallim, means singular, first person. So fa'alna means we did. Fa'altu means I did. So if I wrote something and I will have to tell you, I will say katabtu, I wrote. If I am not singular, we are many teachers, I will say katabna, we wrote. So these were the 14 forms of this fi'l mazi, and which we have finished. And now some of the important points which you have to remember is, suppose how to convert a madi into mazi kareeb. Al mazi kareeb, the near past. It's formed by addition qad before the fi'l mazi. For example, qad dhahaba. Qad dhahaba, he just went. He has gone. He just went. Qad sami'a, he just heard. He has heard, you can also say. So to make it near past, we just add qad before this fi'l mazi. Similarly, if we want that there should be a negative meaning in the action, in the past action there should be some negative meaning, it should be a negative past, then we add ma. Suppose zahaba means he went. Ma zahaba, he didn't go. So now here is an example. Suppose ma zahaba, he did not go. Ma sami'a, he did not hear. So by adding ma in the beginning of this verb, it gives the meaning of negative past. The verb, like the personal pronoun, has three persons, which we have discussed this in the conjugation. First is al-mutakallim. Mutakallim means the one who speaks. And second person means the person with whom you are talking, the individual spoken to. Third person means about whom you are talking. Al-ghaib. In Arabic we call it ghaib, means the individual spoken of. Mutakallim means speaker. Mukhatab means the person with whom you are speaking. Al-ghaib means about whom you are speaking. The endings in the conjugation are simply shortened forms of the personal pronouns used as nominative. The endings which we have just shown you, that these are the endings, na, tu, tunna, tumati, they are basically attached pronouns, because the pronouns, when we attach personal pronouns, when we attach to nouns, they have a different shape, and when we attach them with verbs, they give some different shape. So these endings of the conjugation, these changing endings, are basically the personal pronouns used in nominative case. But we can use a personal pronoun as an object as well, maf'ul bihi, and we can suffix it with a verb. Then the shape will be like here, uhibbuka, habba yuhibbu, uhibbu, it's mutakallim, ka is object, it occurs as object. أحبك. And similarly, أخرجتهم, I sent them out. أخرجت, this tu is attached pronoun tu. This represents that this is mutakallim, first person tu. This is amir, mutakallim. But when I added this personal pronoun with this verb, and it became hum. This hum is attached. This hum is pronoun attached to this verb. أخرجتهم, but it occurs object. So the shape is just as the shape of, in the nouns. But when we use personal pronouns as in nominative case, then there will not be shape like this. Suppose I say katabu. Katabu, waw is wawul jama'a. It's plural. It's basically hum. Katabu means hum katabu. So waw represents plural. It's attached form of a pronoun with verb, but use it in nominative case. But when we use an attached pronoun in accusative case or maf'ul bihi with a verb, then the shape will be just as the shape of it when used it with nouns. أخرجتهم. See, tu is mutakallim zamir, hum is the plural zamir, personal pronoun. Now we have to learn and study the al-fi'l al-mudari. In English we call it present and future verb, or you can say imperfect verb. We have already given you the definition of this fi'l al-mudari, that fi'l al-mudari is a verb which denotes or represents an action either in the present or in the future. It indicates an action is taking place in present or will take place in future. The example is, suppose yazhabu, he is going or he will go. Yakhruju, he is departing or he will depart. Yasma'u, he is listening or he will listen. Yaktubu, he is writing or he will write. Imperfect tense is formed from three radical letters of the past tense, al-fi'l mazi, and with the addition of one or more of these four letters, alif, ta, ya, and noon, these are known as the signs of imperfect tense or alamatul fi'l mudari. So how to make a fi'l mazi, how to convert a fi'l mazi into fi'l mudari? We can just add any of the one or two or three letters from these four letters, and these are alif, ta, ya, and noon. Alif, ta, ya, and noon. Atain, you can memorize by memorizing atain. In atain, all the four letters come. So see here how we add noon. Naktubu, we are writing or we will write. So I added this noon before the kataba and became naktubu, and it's fi'l mudari. And this noon is harf al-mudari, alamat al-mudari. Then aktubu, this hamza is alamat al-mudari, this alif is alamat al-mudari. Yaktubu, this ya is alamat al-mudari. Taktubu, this ta is alamat. So all these four letters we find in these four verbs: noon, alif, ya, ta. Taktub, yaktub, aktub, naktub. So these four letters are called alamatul mudari, or you can say signs of fi'l mudari. The number and gender of a person is expressed in the conjugation with the addition of these letters: alif, ta, noon, and ya. Now fi'l mudari, imperfect verb, itself denotes only unfinished action. The action is not finished. It does not represent that the action is finished. It denotes the action is either finishing or will finish. It is used to indicate the future by putting the independent sawfa before it, or by prefixing its contraction sin. This I have already told you that if we want to make any fi'l mudari specific for future, we add either sin or sawfa before it. Suppose yaktubu zaidun, Zaid is writing or will write. And when I say sayaktubu zaidun, it means Zaid will write. Now I can't say Zaid is writing or will write, but it becomes specific for future. I will say Zaid would write. And similarly, sawfa yaktubu zaidun, soon the Zaid will write. So again the meaning is specific for future. Sin is used to indicate near future and Safa is used for distant future. As I told you, when I say Sayaktubu Zaidun, it means Zaid will write, Zaid would write. And when I say Safa yaktubu Zaidun, it means that soon the Zaid will write. So by adding the sin before the Muzari, the meaning is a bit distant past. Fi'l Muzari is normally in nominative case, represented by vowel sign Dhamma. Suppose if I say yaktubu, at the end the Arab is bu. So it's in nominative case. And this nominative case is represented by the vowel sign Dhamma. And it's also Mu'arab. Fi'l Muzari is also Mu'arab. As far as Fi'l Mazi is concerned, it is Mabni. It will not change at the end. And no inflecting preposition acts on Fi'l Mazi. But Fi'l Muzari is Mu'arab. It changes at the last by using some awamil, inflecting prepositions. Some inflecting prepositions do make changes in it. Suppose yaktubu, it was yaktubu. When I added lam, this is an inflecting preposition. It acts on this Fi'l Muzari. It became yaktub. It became sakin at the end. Yasma'a, the noon of the, it was yasma'ani, noon of noon al-Arabi. It's omitted because of lam. Yazhabuna was basically, it became lam yazhabu. Yansur was, it became yansura. Because of this lan, it became mansub. In tasma'u, tasma'una was, it became in tasma'u. So we can say that Fi'l Muzari is a mu'arrab, and some inflecting prepositions do act on this verb and change its case ending, its ending changes. Now we have to learn the conjugation of Fi'l Muzari. The standard conjugation of Fi'l Muzari is here. You see first yaf'alu. Yaf'alu means he does or he will do. Ya is alamatul muzari. So yaf'alu, the example is suppose yazribu, yasma'u, yaktubu, yajlisu. So yaf'alu is used for al-mufrad, al-muzakkar, al-ga'ib. Al-mufrad singular, al-muzakkar masculine, al-ga'ib means third person. Yaf'alu. Yaf'alani is used for dual, musanna, muzakkar, ghaib, dual masculine third person. Yaf'aluna is used for plural. In Arabic we call al-jama, al-muzakkar, al-ghaib. Al-jama means plural, al-muzakkar means masculine, al-ghaib means third person. So these three forms of this Fi'l Muzari are used for third person for muzakkar, but the first one is for singular masculine. Yafalan, the second one is used for dual masculine, and third is used for plural masculine. Then we have taf'alu. Taf'alu is used for al-mufrad, al-mu'annas, al-ghaib, third person, feminine, singular. Taf'alu means she, it's used for a woman, she does or will do. Taf'alani, they two women are doing or they will do. So taf'alani. So taf'alan is for musanna, dual, musanna, al-mu'annas, feminine, al-ghaib means third person. Yaf'alna, they all women are doing or they will do. So yaf'alna is used for plural, feminine, third person. Al-jamma, al-mu'annas, al-ghaib. Now we shall turn towards the second person. Taf'alu, you do or you will do. You are doing or you will do. It's used for al-mufrad, al-muzakkar, al-mukhatab. Al-mufrad means singular, al-muzakkar means masculine, al-mukhatab means second person. Taf'alani we use for al-musanna, al-muzakkar, al-mukhatab. Musanna means dual. Muzakkar means masculine, al-mukhatab means second person. Taf'alani means you two men are doing or will do. Taf'aluna, you more than two, you all men are doing or will do. So we added waw noon, antum, it's basically zamir antum. Taf'aluna means you all men will do or will be doing. So تفعلون is used for jama, al-jama, al-muzakkar, al-mukhatab. Al-jama means plural, masculine, second person. Now taf'alina, you a woman will do, is doing or will do. So taf'alina, yanun we added, and it represents anti, and it's al-mufrad, al-mu'annas, al-mukhatab. Al-mufrad means singular, al-mu'annas means feminine, al-mukhatab means second person. Taf'alani, you two women are doing or will do. So taf'alani is used for both. Taf'alani is used for two, feminine, second person. We can say taf'alani al-musanna, dual, al-mu'annas, feminine, al-mukhatab means second person. Taf'alani, you two women are doing or will do. Taf'alna, you all women are doing or will do. So taf'alna is used for jama, muannas, mukhatab. Al-jama means plural, muannas means feminine, mukhatab means second person. Af'alu, now these two are used for first person. In first person we have only two forms. We do not have any separate form for a dual. Af'alu means I am doing or I will do. Naf'alu means we are doing or we will do. Af'alu is for first person, masculine or feminine, both are both af'alu. First person singular, naf'alu is first person plural, whether it is male or female. So this was the standard conjugation of fi'l mudhari, and here we have also 14 forms of a verb in conjugation of fi'l mudhari, and first three are used for third person masculine, the second three are used for third person feminine, the third three are used for second person masculine, and these three are used for second person feminine. These two are used for first person of masculine or feminine for both af'al and naf'al. In this way we have finished the standard conjugation of this fi'l mudhari, and inshallah in the next topic we shall learn al-fi'l amr, fi'l al-amr, imperative verb, fi'l al-nahi, and prohibitive verb. Till then, assalamu alaikum.